Scene. Okay, ready? We gotta have some time in between so I can cut it out later.
Okay.
Oh, we're like editing this?
Well, no, I'm just kind of like cutting out this bit.
This
bit that we're doing right now.
The bit that we're doing right now.
It makes it real. It makes it real.
1, 2, action.
Sup?
So, we are talking about Hans Christian Andersen's stories today. We all read different ones, and yeah, we have a few questions that we're going to go through. Discussion is going to ensue. Yeah. You want to go first? Ladies first.
Fine. So my story was The Emperor's New Clothes. Basically, there's this emperor, and he loves clothes and like material possessions more than he loves his people, so he kind of treats his people very awfully and his guards very awfully. And then these two like clothing maker people, merchants or whatever, come in and say, we can make you the finest garments in all the land, but we just need a bunch of gold thread, a bunch of very expensive items. And so they get this little shack, and they never actually use any of the items, and they say, if you cannot see the clothing that we make, you are a fool and you are not fit for your post. Meaning basically, you're dumb and you shouldn't be where you are, like your job. And so the king, every week I think, he would send a guard to a different guard each time to go see how the clothes are doing. And they see, oh, I don't see these clothes. Am I a fool? Am I unfit for my job? And then they go, if I am, I'm not telling anybody. And so they just tell the king, the garments are beautiful, the most excellent in all the land, beautiful patterns, all the such. And that happens for quite a few guards. And then finally the king decides to go and look. And he sees there's nothing there, and he's like, am I unfit to be king? Am I unfit to be ruler? Well, I'm not telling anybody. And so he says, what beautiful gowns. And he gives the merchants a lot more gold and a lot more stuff to make the garments. And so by the end of it, he has to put them on and go out like in public, like basically red carpet event to show off his new clothes and to be ruler and stuff. And he's not wearing anything, but he can't let people know that or like think that, I guess. And so
totally wearing clothes.
Yeah,
so,
wearing
like,
clothes.
He's the merchants pretend like give him the clothes, and they like pretend to, and he pretends to put them on, and then he walks outside in this big old area and just starts walking, and everyone's granting him like, oh my gosh, what beautiful gowns that you have, blah 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 blah. I wish I was wearing that, something something something, because nobody wants to be unfit for their job. Mm-hmm. And then a kid just spouts out, he's not wearing anything. And then all the other kids are like, yeah, he's not wearing anything. And they're children, they're already fools, they're dumb, they don't know anything. And so all the adults are like, you know what, if a kid sees it, yeah, we agree with the kids, he's not wearing anything. And at the end of the story, the king goes, you know what, I knew I wasn't wearing anything. I just couldn't accept the fact that I wasn't wearing anything, and now I can. And that's how the story ends. Just him in the middle of town not wearing anything in front of all the townspeople, accepting that he's naked.
Okay.
So if you, this is just weird, but if you were to put a theme to the story, what kind of theme do you think it would be?
I don't know. Don't lie, I guess.
Don't lie. Don't walk around your
The merchants
naked.
were kind of douches, so don't steal from the king. Also, the king, don't be afraid. Don't question your power if you know you're worthy enough, I guess.
Don't love material possessions over non-material possessions.
Over your citizens. Yeah, don't
people.
Yeah.
I love my notebook more than I love you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if that, like, in the beginning it said he loved material possessions a lot more than people, but like it never really showed through the story.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he cared about the garments, but like, I mean, he only wore them once.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's because he cared so much about wearing those garments to be like shown as a true powerful king.
Yeah. Do you think if you do think do you think that this story connects to Hans Christian Andersen's life at all? No, maybe so.
It doesn't make me think of him at all.
Okay.
I think it's just one weird story his brain came up with.
Yeah, just kind of what he wanted to write, I guess.
Yep.
And then, kind of to end it off, do you think it was a happy or a sad ending?
It was an ending.
It was an ending.
It was an ending.
Well, it wasn't sad.
It wasn't like sad. It was a little
It was just
weird.
it was
It just left on like
weird.
a weird note, I
Yeah.
guess.
No happy, no sad, just weird.
Alright,
Your
next.
turn.
Okay, mine was the real princess. So this guy who's a king is looking for a real princess, not all these fake phony girls that he keeps seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into the woods and there's this girl who is like soaked with water, has got mud all over her. She's just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks her if she's a real princess and she says yes. And then he goes, let's test that theory. So he takes her back to his kingdom, and his mother puts a pea under a bunch of mattresses.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sleeps on it. And then she wakes up and she's in horrible pain because of a tiny little pea.
Mm-hmm.
And that showed that she was a real princess. And then they lived happily ever after and got married.
Wow. What do you think the theme is to that amazing story?
Let's see. Probably just believe people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like
People tell the truth.
princesses are dainty, and like they're delicate and they require a lot of care,
Yeah.
and so a tiny little pea can ruin a woman's
Their skin is. They're
ruin a
fragile.
woman's perfect complexion.
Their princesses are fragile. But if they're fake, I guess they're not fragile.
Princess, yeah.
Do you think this story could at all connect to Han's life at all?
Maybe he just hated peas. I don't know.
He
That's
wrote-
all I got
he
about-
wrote- He wrote a story just to despise.
I feel like he just wanted to
Wait, so
despise
he came
peas.
up with the princess and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Was it a had or sappy ending?
Happy. Weird that they just met and they got married, but you know,
What story
It's-
is
that
it?
happens.
Prince and princess, you know that's how it goes.
Every single.
you just
story.
meet each other one day and get married the next. It's
Yeah,
fine.
so my grandparents.
Okay. Next. So, is there writing on that glass over there? Anyways, out of pocket, but so I did the story of the nightingale, and basically the story goes like this. There was this bird that lived in these woods, and it was like the most beautiful singing bird that you'd ever hear. You know, everybody from all over the world wrote about how like amazing of a singer this bird is. And it lived in the ruler of the kingdom was like, hey, I want to hear that bird. Somebody find me that bird. So he had like a group of people go out and like search for the bird, and like they found the bird. Eventually, like they were like kind of struggled finding the bird until they found a woman. They were like, hey, do you know where this bird is? And she's like, yeah, I know where that bird is. I hear him sing all the time. She brought them to the bird, and like in the stories, it was like this amazing, beautiful singing bird. And they're like, hey, Mr. Nightingale, can you sing for us? And he's like, bet, I'll sing for you, and he sings. And then they're like, okay, so now we need to like bring this to our king, or like bring the king to the bird. And they're like, hey, bird, like our ruler wants to hear you sing. Do you want to like come with us to like be in court, you know, like the royal court? And the bird's like, hell yeah, like let's go. So he goes with them, and he sings for the king, and the king cries like for the first time. Everyone's like, oh my god, like the bird's so good at singing, like he brings the king to tears. And then after a while of like singing and whatever, there's this fake metal bird that gets sent in, and it's like, no, I'm the real nightingale. This bird is a fake, but I am the real, even though it was the fake bird. So he
Was it like identical to the real
yeah,
bird?
it was like a robot bird basically.
Oh.
But like it looks exactly like him.
It could sing and everything just like the real
Clone.
nightingale. And then the king was like, okay. And then they throw the original nightingale out. So after years go by, and like this fake nightingale is like living with the king and whatever. And eventually, like the fake nightingale like breaks, and like they finally realize that like, oh, this isn't the real nightingale. What the heck? So you know, sadness. And then the king is starting to die, and he's like really sad because he's like, oh, I just want to hear like the nightingale sing one more time, and whatever. And then, like, as he's dying, he hears this beautiful saying coming from the window. It's the real nightingale. And yeah,
And then he dies.
I believe so.
It's a weird story.
That's a interesting story.
Sweet nightingale. So, I don't really know what kind of theme the story has, but if I had to put one theme to it, I feel like it'd kind of be like, don't always believe what others like tell you, and
Like, be careful who you
yeah,
trust.
be careful who you trust. Not everything's as it appears and everything. And don't listen to nightingales. It's pretty because they'll make you cry.
What about Hans? You think this any imposters in his life?
I kind of think, like, if I could connect it to his life in one way, I kind of think, like, how, like, the nightingale was, like, kind of banished almost, and, like, he was exiled and stuff. I kind of feel like that could also be, like, Hans's. Like, everybody, you know, he wasn't really liked that much. He was just kind of Hans. His work wasn't really appreciated till later in life. He, you know, had a very hard life and whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, even though he was so good at writing and he, you know, like, how the nightingale was so good at singing, there were still people who would, you know, believe other people before they believed him, almost. You kind of get what I'm saying?
And maybe the nightingale coming back represents Hans forgiving people for wronging him.
Yeah.
And shunning him.
And being homophobic. I say the ending is happy, you know. The king dies happy, the bird isn't really exiled anymore. Yeah.
Coolio.
Coolio, Tulio.
Coolio.
So, yeah.
Those are our 3 stories.
The end. Not the end yet. You guys stay still.
Cut!
Say it again.